Kakashi's failed Rasen Shuriken. Like,
I mean, if we're being honest, the base Rasengan in and of itself could just be wind style. It shouldn't just be raw chakra. Like, it blasts the opponent back with
weird.
a gust of wind.
When I
Perfect.
found out there was wind style Rasengan, I was like, what the fuck is the difference between wind style Rasengan and Rasengan?
it's just
And
Especially
Boruto, they
cons-
made it like more apparent by like making it green and having a disc, but like it's literally like it's like just like what?
Yeah,
I always assumed that the
especially-
Rasengan's rotation was causing like wind to like, you know, make things blow.
Exactly.
So like what's
Yeah.
the point of having wind style Rasengan and then
But
Rasengan?
yeah, I
especially
think
considering it's supposed to be clashing with the Chidori, an elemental
Yes.
jutsu, and then these two jutsus are also like evening out.
Alright.
It just makes sense
That-
for it to be an elemental jutsu.
I think what they could have done. Okay, so there's a couple of options you could go with here. So in this case, just to fit the theme, you could have had it so that the Rasengan is kind of just like Minato's failed wind style Rasengan. So it already is wind style, but it's like Kakashi's Chidori, basically.
I like that.
So the Rasengan
Yeah.
could just be a thing. The Rasengan as we know it, the one Minato does, is a wind style jutsu. It's basically Minato's Chidori situation. So Naruto would have to come up with the completed version, which would be Rasen Shuriken in that case.
That can work.
That could work. There's a lot of options. Or like I said, you could just have the Chidori be also the failed wind style Rasengan because it's cutting. Or have the Chidori have a
if you're doing
different
that,
effect.
just they would have to specify that Rasen Shuriken isn't the complete Rasengan. It's just the complete version of the jutsu is adding the elemental nature to it. So, like, for example, Kakashi did complete the Rasengan if the Chidori is the lightning style Rasengan.
Yeah, we'd have to change the wording of what it's like supposed to be. Like, so maybe the shape would be the. There's a lot of ways you can approach it. Realistically, is the problem here. But
funny enough, I was thinking about this earlier today. In fact, I remember exactly when and where and what I was doing. I was sweeping around 5:30 when I was thinking about this. So, okay, we could like even. Okay, which Rasengan do you think is the most powerful? Not the most powerful Rasengan user, the most powerful Rasengan itself. Because I was thinking about it. This goes back to like our AP versus DC discussions, Kamui. So, like, for example, I'm sure everyone would be thinking, like, the Rasengan Naruto did against Delta could be the most powerful. It's the big ball Rasengan, the Cho-Cho Rasengan. So, the thing is, okay, the compression Rasengan, I think, would be able to, like, carve into that Rasengan. I think, obviously, the big ball Rasengan can do more destructive damage in general. You can carve more into a mountain with it. But I think the compression Rasengan does more damage to, like, what it hits, like, comparatively.
yeah, no, that's the point.
And
It's almost like even though it's not a sharp point, it's kind of like the idea. It's better at piercing. Granted, by doing so, you can destroy a mountain because Boruto like destroyed like a giant boulder or something. We didn't get to see it, but we saw the effect of it in one brief scene. So we know it can do. Hypothetically, it could destroy the mountain, but it wouldn't carve the mountain. It would like break the mountain apart, basically.
Exactly.
But like, so the massive Rasengan might not do anything to Deepa, but the compression Rasengan could.
But remember, Naruto. Okay, again, not going with the users, but like the big ball Rasengan Naruto did. As far as we know, because Naruto has a crap ton of chakra and he's the master of the Rasengan, at that point, Boruto wasn't the master of the Rasengan when he made the compression Rasengan, in my opinion. He just learned it, the compression Rasengan. So I think Naruto's big ball Rasengan might have more dense chakra in total space or whatever than the compression Rasengan has in general. Because, like, if Naruto and Boruto clash base Rasengans, Naruto's base Rasengan is going to be much more powerful than Boruto because it has more dense chakra or because he's mastered it more, etc. So it's possible, just surface area wise, he just might still have more density in the big ball Rasengan than Boruto does in his compression.
We don't know. Because Naruto's massive Rasengan, it probably wasn't this, but hypothetically, could just be a compression Rasengan, a super compression Rasengan, but it's got so much chakra that it returned to normal size and actually went beyond that. So it's actually a massive Rasengan. So if he didn't super compress it, it could theoretically be 3 times as big or whatever. I don't think that's what they were going for, obviously, but like in theory, it's possible.
Because, like, it's not like Naruto, when he does the Big Ball Rasengan, it's not like he's making an uncompressed Rasengan. It's not like it has 1/10 the power of a normal Rasengan if it's 10 times as big. It's still, it's like as powerful as a normal Rasengan, but then upscaled, destructive-wise and size-wise, to the same proportion. He's just putting more chakra into it.
Yeah, so they never do this, but like obviously it feels like if adult Naruto made his regular Rasengan and kid Naruto made his regular Rasengan, they would probably have adult Naruto's win the battle, but they would never explain why specifically. They would just say, oh, his is stronger. But the reason it should be is kind of what we're getting at. Naruto should either be compressing it equally as much, but putting more chakra into it, aka it gets bigger, or he would put more chakra into the same size, meaning it's more compressed. And that should just be a thing, but they never did it before the super compression Rasengan. That's like the first time they even discussed that. But they should have done that because then you could, you know, apply this in so many ways.
Yeah. So I was thinking about it. We see Naruto and Kakashi clash Rasengans. It like clashes, and then like it doesn't like burst or explode like it does with the Rasengan and Chidori case. So I don't think I think there's a difference, not in the characters using it, but the fundamentals happening here. To where I don't think the Rasengan is like bursting in this case. So if this is the case, and it's like carving into the other Rasengan until the other Rasengan just diminishes entirely. Hypothetically, if Boruto does his compressed Rasengan and adult Naruto does his base Rasengan, and they both just go all out, whose Rasengan do you think wins? Or whose hand looks like Kakashi's with the scorch marks on it when Kakashi and Naruto did their Rasengan clash?
I will say real quick, Naruto used the wind style Rasengan for that clash.
I know.
I just wanted to clarify for stream because they didn't remember. In this case, I mean, the problem is I feel like Boruto should win this, but I feel like they would make it so that Naruto's wins.
Interesting. Kuro, what do you think?
I think Boruto has it. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, we got some disagreements here. I like it.
I don't think base Hokage doing a regular ass Rasengan is breaking Deepa's armor. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think Boruto's would pierce the Rasengan, make a hole in it, disrupt the swirling rotation of it, and cause it to go away or something like that.
Yeah.
Actually, I could find it real quick. Because basically, obviously there'd be a more scientific explanation of this, but if I recall, in the father-son Rasengan clash with Momoshiki, I think his kind of burst apart. And if I'm correct, hopefully the stream doesn't get taken down for this 1 second.
Oh my god.
Actually, hold on. No, I gotta remember how to use OBS. Okay. Okay, it's not working. I need something to get in the way. Okay, hold on. Let me.
What is that? 13%?
Sorry, I need to cover up the thing so I can find it on our Discord share screen.
Oh my god.
But not the actual stream.
So, while you're looking for this, can I explain more things about this?
There you go.
Or do you want to keep on this point? Okay, perfect. So, I was thinking about this with the Chidori Rasengan clash. Because when they do it, they both like explode backwards, but they themselves aren't injured. They're just like forced backwards. I was thinking about why. They explain in the series it's because the jutsus equal out. Wait, who what?
Wait, who are you talking about for that? I was distracted.
Like Naruto and Sasuke, whenever they clash with their Chidori and their Rasengan, they both like burst backwards, you know?
Well, not always, do they? Because at the end of part 1, did they burst backwards?
We don't see, but it would just be consistent if they did. If they did, they had a big black sphere surrounding them for them to hit into. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, I found the scene real quick. So.
Okay, go ahead.
It's only gonna be 3 seconds ish, so I feel like.
Also mute it, just in case.
Yeah, I did mute it. So. What happens to this Rasengan here, obviously, never mind the size comparison, the Boruto's would just be smaller in this hypothetical, but I feel like it would do this. Like, go through his Rasengan like that.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine happening. Obviously, it requires, Boruto's Rasengan to be strong enough to do this, but I think it would work.
Okay, so this is going to get to a point. I'm going to tell the point first, and then I'm going to go back to elaborate it, and then I'm going to come back to the point that I just explained to explain how the elaboration elaborates onto the point. So the point, first of all,
this is the dumbest thing you have ever said.
Okay, just hear me out, Okay, the first point is that if you think Boruto's condensed Rasengan can burst through adult Naruto's Rasengan, it should do the same thing to Naruto's big ball Rasengan. I think so. I'm going to come back to that. Before anyone has contentions, I'm going to come back to it. So, okay. Because I was thinking, why do Naruto and Sasuke blow backwards without seemingly having damage from their Rasengan Chidori clash? I don't think it's because they're equaling out. And I don't think it's because they are just Naruto and Sasuke. I don't think the characters have anything to do with it. You look at the fundamentals of the jutsu, you look at the water towers, that's showing what's happening. So with Naruto's, I'm going to start there. With Naruto's, it does like the small effect on like the hit, and then the blast in the back is what really matters. And we see that's pretty consistent as well. Whenever the Rasengan hits, it doesn't do much, but then like once it like really hits, they're getting like sent flying in a spiral direction backwards. So like the Chidori... Exactly. The Chidori is the opposite, to where it hits, and that's like the big impact. And it's like a striking thing, it's a speed thing, it's a stabbing thing. So how do these apply when these two jutsus come into contact with each other? Here's what I think is happening. Here's why I think Naruto and Sasuke get blown back. It's not because they're equaling out. I think Sasuke is technically winning. I think Sasuke's Chidori pierces into Naruto's Rasengan. And because of this, because Naruto's Rasengan is no longer being forced forwards, the explosion force doesn't go forwards, it goes in a radial direction, all 360 degrees, and that blast is what bursts Naruto and Sasuke backwards. So neither of them are hit by the Rasengan, they're hit by the blast from the Rasengan, the force that would be applied from it. Not fully, because it's not fully hitting them, and that's why they don't get any damage. But they're blown backwards, both of them, from the Rasengan being disrupted and bursting outwards. Thoughts on that, first of all?
So I actually love that. My only contention, though, is the Momoshiki scene I just showed. That doesn't happen. It just, when Boruto's breaks through Momoshiki's, it doesn't do a blast that Boruto gets blown back from. It's just gets disrupted, and then Boruto hits him.
Yeah.
So I might be able to. Okay, I don't want to stick on this because I want to get back to my point. But I guess my way of addressing it for now, and we can come back to this if you don't like this idea, because I don't think you will. My idea is that that isn't actually a Rasengan like our conspiracy theory is. That's some other jutsu. Because it is red, but it is Rasengan, but it is red. Now I know he absorbs the Rasengan, and it seemingly is that Rasengan, but
yeah, then though, even if it just straight up isn't, the problem is the fundamental mechanic of it is clearly identical. So I don't think it would matter.
Well, but even this I think still works, because even with the Naruto Kakashi case, it's like one Rasengan not absorbing the other, but like almost like eating the force of it to like force your way through. Because again, it's a push forwards. Kakashi wasn't pushed forwards, he stayed in place, just like Momoshiki. So if this is the case, it'd be consistent, because the father-son Rasengan had so much force behind it that Boruto didn't have to feel the force, because the force was essentially just overwritten by the overwhelming force of the father-son Rasengan. Another possibility. Okay, so getting back to my point, though. So I don't think the condensed Rasengan that Boruto makes, because it's small, I don't think it needs to be able to destroy the entirety of the big ball Rasengan. I think just as how Naruto was like training for the Rasengan, it's like bursting the water balloon. You just make one small hole in it, the whole like air within it, compressed air, it bursts outwards. I think this is also applicable within the series. Whenever Pain makes those like rocks fall on top of Six Tails' Naruto when he's doing the Biju blast, I don't think those rocks are equaling out that Biju blast. But I think it is similar to like stabbing a knife into a water balloon, to where it doesn't have to be enough to equal it out in terms of force. It just has to be enough to make it burst. And so with that principle in mind, if Boruto's condensed Rasengan, just like the Chidori, is enough to have the big ball Rasengan burst, I think the applicable force from that Rasengan would apply to both Boruto and Naruto. So in the end, Boruto's Rasengan would win, but they both might die. But that doesn't matter. The point is the Rasengan is stronger.
I think, well, in that, so the two things with that, though, is one, I think they would just get blown back the same way. I don't think they would inherently get eviscerated, because, you know, that doesn't happen with Naruto and Sasuke, for example. But
but with Naruto and Sasuke, it's not the big ball Rasengan, it's the base Rasengan.
Yeah, I know, but even so, that Momoshiki scene still makes me be unsure, just because, like, you know,
I mean, Momoshiki wasn't blown backwards either. So I think that's pretty fair to say.
Momoshiki's was disrupted and nothing happened to either of them. So that's
because it's Rasengan on Rasengan. Like, okay, so I'm almost thinking of it like a bubble. So what if like the big ball Rasengan literally absorbed Momoshiki's Rasengan, so that Momoshiki's Rasengan is inside of Boruto's Rasengan, and then it bursts, but it doesn't matter. Listen, it kind of looks like it.
No, it doesn't. It looked like it just like
it kind of
burst.
Does.
It just like it was like a slob. Like
I'm not saying it looked exactly like it, but it looked like it had like the same speed or movement of when a bubble absorbs another bubble.
Nah, it looks like, I don't know, just like if you have like a really squishy ball and you sit on it and it flattens out, like that's what it looks like.
I don't know, Kuro, what do you think? You like my idea?
Well, I like your idea. That Momoshiki scene kind of has me weary.
That could also just be filler, but that's a subtle.
True.
But
we have not. I think, I'm not gonna lie.
Ridiculous, I know. It's a lot.
I don't even know, to be honest. I have to say that when it comes down to it, okay. One, Boruto's Rasengan, which is the compression Rasengan, is like, I guess I'm trying to think of like a way to put this that's like an easier way. I was gonna say like strength versus speed, but it's not really it, because compression Rasengan isn't really about speed. It's more like strength versus penetration, I guess. I don't know if any of you familiar with that, but
yeah.
In terms of compression Rasengan, it's more like a sword than it is a blunt.
Yeah, okay, that's a better thing. It's like a sword versus like a great hammer, in my opinion. Like a very sleek sword versus a great hammer, and the sword does a lot more damage, but the great hammer is far easier to hit with, and
yeah.
So it's like, when it comes down to it, though, I feel like Boruto's Rasengan would just go through it and just, like, obliterate. I mean, obviously not obliterate Naruto, but, like, say it was two random shinobi, one had the compression Rasengan and one had the fucking Gyro Rasengan, right. The random shinobi with the big ball Rasengan would just get obliterated, because the compression Rasengan would just blow through it.
Interesting. So I think another reason, this isn't why I thought about this, but it might have been on my mind subconsciously. I was talking about like the laws of physics with Newton behind Konohamaru's barrier Rasengan from this latest chapter versus versus Hidari's Chidori. I think based on that, it's also consistent, because it's like Hidari's the one moving forward. Konohamaru is either not moving or moving backwards even. So when he thrusts his Rasengan forward to hit Hidari, it makes sense that Konohamaru is blown backwards and Hidari stays in place. So I think it might still be consistent based on that.
That's pretty valid, actually.
Right? Like, it's interesting.
No, as a side note,
I mean,
did you notice, Kuro, that Konohamaru's Rasen Barricade is 99.9% the exact same thing as Shojoji's Zephyr Shield?
Yeah.
It's literally the same jutsu.